If you're a regular on this channel, you already know that nothing gets thrown away here. The junk collector uses everything. Today in this video, I'll show you the uses you can give to these pieces of grinding stone or wheels that are worn out or broken and would normally end up in the trash. Those who throw this away don't know the gold they're discarding. I have several pieces of these broken wheels, and I keep them carefully just in case someone wants to clean up. First, I'm going to tell you about several uses I give them just as they are, and then we'll move on to processing the material for other applications. I also want to mention that these stones are not all made of the same material. You may have noticed that some are white, others are green, some are gray, and others are pink. In general, they are made with two materials. The white, pink, and brown ones are softer and are made from a material called corundum, which is aluminum oxide. It has a hardness of 9 on the Mohs scale, where the hardest material is diamond, which has a hardness of 10, and the softest is talc, which has a hardness of 1. Well, interestingly, they're both carbon, right? The grinding stones, gray and green, are made of carborundum, which is silicon carbide, a material harder than corundum and capable of wearing down tungsten carbide, a hardness of 9.5 on the Mohs scale. And these materials can have different grain sizes. Some are for roughing, they're coarse, and others are finer, used for polishing. All right, let's go with the tips, using the stone just as it is. First, roughing the edge of tools is for those tools that only need to maintain the edge angle. In the case of axes, machetes, and shovels, it's very useful. With a piece, we can wear down the material of the shovel, for example, until we achieve the angle. You have to be careful with this because the material is very abrasive and wears down very quickly. Don't be too rough, or we'll be without a shovel in a month, right? Second tip, grinding stone rectification and mini lathe accessories, the bench grinding stones. With use, they become rounded, and from time to time you have to dress them so they keep their angles and the flat front surface. Well, with a broken piece of these old grinding wheels, we can wear down the wheel or mini lathe accessories, like this one. Look at how it is. Pay attention to this because we need to do this process using a mask to prevent any particles from reaching our eyes. And it's essential to use a face mask or a mask for your nose and mouth. Since carborundum silicon carbide in powder form like this can be very harmful to the lungs. So at the very least, an N95 mask and a face shield or goggles. Third tip, removing concrete burrs or glass. The best thing in these cases is to use pieces of green or gray grinding wheel made of carborundum with fine grit to scrape the edges of ceramic or glass. When it comes to cutting bottles, these pieces are very valuable. See how well it works with glass? Very, very well, huh? Fourth tip, cleaning kitchen pans, like the pans used for making chicken or meat in a pan. Well, all those things also. They're very useful for iron griddles that go on the grill, and even for the grills themselves to remove rust and also to get rid of stuck-on grease, right? The fifth tip, you can use these materials as a base for welding since they can withstand extremely high temperatures. In case you need some support or something to hold a piece that you're going to weld, whether with a torch or with an electrode. Placing pieces of this will help secure the part, or you can even use the stone as a base so you don't damage the workbench. That's how I do it. The improvised rasp is the sixth tip. This material is specially made for plastics, resins, and other materials, so they're soft, not like wood. Also then, you can use a piece of the grinding stone as an improvised rasp. Up to this point, these are all the uses directly with the stone as it is. Now we're going to process it. This takes a bit of work, but we can make preparations that will be extremely useful for us in the workshop. To make these preparations, we need to grind the stone until we turn it into powder of different grain sizes. It's essential for this to use an N95 mask and goggles or a face shield. So using a solid piece of metal, a can, we proceed to hit it with a French hammer to grind and form the powder. This powder will be useful for several purposes. Let's go to tip number 7, glass fusing and metal melting ovens in microwaves. Many years ago, back in the Cretaceous, I made some videos showing how to make crucibles to put inside the microwave. It turns out that this material, carborundum, absorbs microwaves very well. And these crucibles are placed in a white aluminum refractory brick that has been hollowed out and put in the microwave. They are heated to temperatures close to 1,000 degrees, allowing metals like aluminum and bronze to be melted inside. You can also make small kilns for glass fusing. Let's go to tip number 8, the polishing paste. When we've ground the grinding wheel, we can sift that powder using strainers and nylon stockings to obtain powders of different grain sizes. These powders are mixed with oil or water and form a very abrasive paste that's very useful for filing and polishing objects. To obtain very, very fine powders, what you can do is take the finest powder we got with the sieves and put it through the ball mill. Well, some time ago, I already showed you how to make one with an old printer. I'll leave the card here with the link so you can check it out. In fact, after that, you can get an abrasive powder to polish it to a mirror finish. You do that by putting the finest powder you've got in water, stirring it a bit, and then decanting that liquid. The supernatant liquid will look like this. Something like dirty water is left to settle for a few hours, and the fine powder that remains at the bottom, mixed with a few drops of oil after we dry it, of course, and that's used to polish to a mirror finish. Tip number 9 is homemade sandpaper or sanding cloth. By using these sifted powders of different grain sizes, we can make our own sandpaper or sanding cloths. For this, we spread white glue on the surface of the cloth. It should be a generous layer, and then we sprinkle the powder so it sticks. We remove the excess and roll a cylinder over it, which can be a bottle or a can, like I'm doing here, and then let it dry. You can also use contact cement for this. Always remember that you should use flexible adhesive so that the sandpaper can bend and doesn't break, let's say. Tip number 10, cleaning threads and mechanisms. By using powder with oil, we can loosen mechanisms and clean rusty threads. We add a little bit of powder to the oil, and then we apply it. Apply it to the thread and move the nuts until everything is completely loosened. Then we keep moving it until all the rust on the thread is completely cleaned off. Once it's clean, you need to wash it with gasoline or kerosene to remove all the remaining abrasive. Well, I know that now you won't ever throw away one of these stones again, not even by accident. That's the life of a junk collector. We use everything until the very end. I hope you liked the video. Share it on your social media, in your groups. Leave a comment and give it a like too. If you're not subscribed, I invite you to do it right now and hit the bell so you get notifications when I upload new content. Thank you so much for watching the video, and see you next time, God willing.